Let's start explanation of the memory object with tables. We have different tools here which we need to work with tables. So let's double click on add table macro command in order to create a new table. As we can see, it has only one parameter, the table name. Let's leave this name, and if we run this macro, we'll see this table 1 here in this combo. This table is empty now, but we can add fields to it. So we should double click on add table column macro command, which has 3 parameters: the table name, the column name, and the type of the column value. This value can be string type, which is symbolic value, int32, which is integer value, boolean, true or false type. It can be date, can be fractional, 2 types, double or decimal, and it can be binary as well if we want to put the expression inside. In this case, I'm gonna select column 1 string type, and I'm gonna add column 2, let's be integer type, int 32, and I'm gonna add one more column, column 3, for example, boolean type. Let's run this macro and look at this table here, and as we can see, it has 3 columns now. We can give specific names to these columns as well as to this table. For example, let's put name here instead of column 1, age instead of column 2, and male instead of column 3. And if we run this macro and look at this table, we'll see the columns with corresponding names, and now we can fill out this table. So we should use add new record macro command, which has only one parameter. It just tells us the name of the table where this record will be added. Let's run the macro again, and as we can see here, one record has been added to this table. So now we can put values in this record. For that, we should double click on set field value macro command. It has 4 parameters. They tell us in which table, in which record, in which column, what value is entered. For example, in the table 1, as a first record, in the column name, let's put the value George. Then, in the same table as the first record, but in the column age, let's enter the value 30. We don't need these double quotes because it's an integer value. And in the column male, let's put the value true. Now, if we run this macro and look at this table, we'll see those values we just put in there. Now let's add one more record to this table. We can copy these records and add in this way. So I'm gonna indicate that these are the second records. And I'm gonna enter corresponding values as well. For example, in the column name, let's put Nina. And the column age, value 10. And false in here. And if we run this macro, we'll see the second record in this table with corresponding values. And we can create as many tables as we need. For example, let's create a new table. Let's call it employee. And let's add column to this table as well. We can copy these columns and add in this way, or create a new column for this table. For the table employee, let's be column 1 in this case. We can copy this command and add column 2 in this way, and so on. We're able to add as many fields to this table as we need. And now if we run this macro, we'll see the second employee table with corresponding columns here. And there is one more detail we need to know when working with tables. You can change structure of the table. For example, add new columns, records with corresponding values, even if the structure of this table is already created. For example, in this case, we've created table 1 with columns, records, with corresponding values in them. In other words, we've created structure of this table, but if now we're able to add new column to this table. For example, let's add column 1 with its string value, and let's add new record to this table as well. And this newly added third record, and the column 1, let's enter some value like this. Now if we run this macro step by step and stop macro execution here and look at this table, we'll see it as it was originally. And then if we keep running, we'll see that new column is added first, then new record, and then in this newly added third record and the newly added column, we can see a new value. And there is one more detail which makes it easier to work with tables. When we are creating a new table, the name of this table by default is table 1, and when we are adding a column to this table, the system gives it a name column 1. But if we have other tables, for example, table employee, and we want to work with this table, it will be comfortable for us if the system gives us the name of this table when we use these macro commands. And in order to do that, we should run this macro. And here in the screen below, we should select this employee table. And now if we use these macro commands, for example, this one, we'll see the name of this table in this macro command as well. And if we want to put value in another column instead of column 1, it will be easier for us if the system gives us the name of the column in which we want to put the value. For example, I'm gonna name this column like this, and I'm gonna add column second as well. And now, if we want to work on those columns, we should run the macro again. Select this employee table here, add new record. And now, in order to get the name of one of these columns, when we use set field value command, we should click on the head of the column in which we want to put the value. For example, if we click on the head of this column and then double click on set field value command, we'll see that table employee and column first is given by the system. And if we click on the head of the column second and then double click on this command, we'll see this column here. So, knowing these details will make it easier for us to work with those macros because we no longer have to type those names, which will help us to make fewer mistakes.